Okay, hi everyone, it's Miranda. I wanted to do a quick video. I just got out of the shower, so my hair's, all messed up, but that's okay. I wanted to do a video. I actually debated about whether to do this video or not, but you know that I've changed my YouTube website a little bit so that it reflects my passion and my interest in flying. What I wanted to talk to you about was I first started flying the simulators back in the, I guess it'd be the late 1980s. And I started out with the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and then I graduated to Laminar Research's X-Plane Simulator, and I've been with them ever since. But I taught myself how to fly, basically, on the simulators, and after I taught myself how to fly, I decided I'd become interested in aerial navigation, so I taught myself how to use VFR sectional charts. I taught myself how to use low altitude and high altitude en route IFR charts. I taught myself how to do both SIDS and STARS, SIDS being standard instrument departure routes, and STARS, standard terminal arrival routes. And I also taught myself how to practice both non-precision and precision approaches, VOR approaches, NDB approaches, ILS approaches, GPS approaches. I also became interested in aviation meteorology, and so I started to learn about that. But all along the way, I had, I guess you would call, real-world pilots who would tell me that I couldn't possibly learn anything on the simulator, and they gave me all kinds of reasons. One reason was they said, well, your simulator doesn't move, so you're really not going to learn anything. And then others said, well, in the monitor, you don't have depth perception, so you're really not going to learn anything. So over the years, as I taught myself to fly, I created a little network. So I had two big monitors to get sort of that wraparound look. I bought two Fresnel lenses to give depth perception. I bought a vibrating chair. I bought rudder pedals with actual toe brakes. I bought a control column and a throttle quadrant. But again, all along the way, the real pilots were telling me, well, it's just a game, you can't learn anything, and even if you do learn some skills, they're definitely not applicable or transferable to a real world situation. And it was really disheartening to hear that from pilots. What I was expecting was to get some kind of encouragement from them, but all they said basically was, oh, you're just playing a game and you can't learn anything about flying. Well, a couple years went by, and I was at church Sunday morning, and the pastor was introducing to us the new assistant pastor, and I started talking to him after the service, and it turned out he's a certified flight instructor. His name's Bill Graham, a really nice guy. And he said to me, he said, well, have you ever taken lessons? And I said, no. And he said, well, why don't I give you lessons? I said, I'd love to have lessons, but I know they're very expensive and I can't afford them. And he said, don't worry about it, he would take care of it. So I said, sure. So we made an appointment for the following, I think it was a Saturday, and the night before I didn't sleep at all. I was practicing on my simulator, and so the next day I met Bill at the airport, and we walked out to the airplane, and it was a Cessna, I believe it was a 150, and I looked in the cockpit at the instruments, and I thought to myself, this looks very familiar. I know what these instruments are, and I know how they work. So finally we got in, we did our walk-around checked the fuel as well, and then I told him that I wanted to try starting the aircraft. So he said, okay. So I went through the startup procedures, started it, And then I said to him, I said, I'd like to try and taxi out to runway 20, which is the main active runway at Wall Regional Airport. And he said, well, okay. I gave a little power, taxied out to the runway, stopped short of the runway. He got clearance. I said, I'd like to try taking off. So he said, okay. I took off the airplane. As I applied more throttle, I used a little bit of right rudder to counteract the torque effects, which I had learned on my simulator. And then we flew around, and I told him that I wanted to fly around, so he said, okay, so we did that. And then we came down to land, and I said, I want to try landing. So he said, okay. I landed the airplane just fine, taxied back to the hangar, turned everything off, and he looked at me, and he said, are you sure you've never had a lesson before? And I said, nope, that was my first lesson. And he said, well, I sure would like to know, listen to this. He said, I sure would like to know where you learned to fly like that. He said, most of my students wouldn't have been able to do that unless it had at least 12 lessons. So I basically, what I wanted to say to all of those real-world pilots out there who failed to show me any kind of encouragement in my passion for flying, who told me that my simulator was just a game, who told me that I would learn nothing from the simulator, and even if I did learn something, I wouldn't be able to transfer that learned skill to a real, flight environment. They were all completely wrong. I taught myself how to fly, I taught myself how to navigate, and I taught myself aviation, meteorology as well. They were all wrong, and I was right. That's what I wanted to say. And now, just to quickly change subjects. I've got an iPad here, and I wanted to show you, I downloaded, see it? I downloaded a new app. It's right here. It's called ForeFlight, and you can go ahead and, come on, you can go ahead and open it up. Here it is. Now, it's not going to show any information now because I'm not actually flying on the simulator. But what I wanted to show you, along the bottom here, it's got all kinds of different features. Like here it's got airports, it's got maps, it's got plates, it's got documents. And the documents, these over here are all books that I was able to download for free. But what I wanted to show you was right over here. It's a blank screen. What this is a scratch pad, and look what you can do with it. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? That's what you can do with the scratch pad. So that's what I wanted to show you. And that's just one feature. It's called ForeFlight, and I just got it the other day. I'll be doing more videos as I learn how to use it. But basically what I wanted to say was, in spite of what the real-world pilots told me, I did teach myself how to fly on the simulator, on my computer, and all of those pilots that failed to show me any kind of support or any kind of encouragement except Bill Graham, you were wrong and I was right. So that's all I wanted to say. I hope you guys have a good night.